And we are back with Split Screen Experience, episode 11, with more than just my co-host, a special guest, and I will now allow them to introduce themselves promptly.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jarett, and today I'm going to be discussing some various game topics with your host today.
Oh, I don't want to go too far. It's not much discussing, more just talking.
We're just hanging out.
Isn't a talk a discussion?
That's on a certain point of view.
Don't go Obi-Wan on me here.
This isn't a philosophy podcast.
It could be.
We could go into the philosophy of video games.
I get behind it. So, what are your thoughts on the Halo rings firing? Did war crimes occur during this, or were war crimes invented during the Forerunner era?
Justified.
There are no war crimes in Halo except for what the Covenant did to us.
Valid.
Well. If we look at what ONI was as a organization, kidnapping kids and forcing them to become super soldiers,
To improve them, yes.
I don't know how that would be viewed upon in today's society or the public in the Halo universe.
It's okay though. They got replaced with Flash clones.
That died within like 3 months.
That they also came with like some disability as well.
I didn't even know that.
From the, or at least what I'm referencing from Halo Legends, an animated group of series from, or shorts, or not series, shorts on Netflix. One of the Spartans actually finds their way back to their home, and they're looking at themselves, but they're paralyzed from the waist down.
Well, did they come like that? Or like did something happen to them?
See, that I'm not sure. I don't remember if it was like they deemed it as an accident, and so when the doppelganger was found or returned home, that's when it happened. That's when we start to see that them being paralyzed. But I know the real Spartan that was taken is not paralyzed. Also, Halo Legends is great, by the way. If for everyone who's listening who has not seen it, I highly recommend it.
I have not watched Halo Legends. I'll have to give it a look.
I might have invented this in my head. Maybe this isn't in the story anywhere, but like I thought they had like a certain like a kill switch in the clones that basically just put them down after a couple months.
It's something similar. I wouldn't say it's like just a kill switch, but they had the kidnapped kids replacee. They do tend to die like very quick.
Yeah. So the family just kind of forgets about it.
I don't think it is a kill switch, but I do know they die pretty quickly.
Or maybe it's not a kill switch, but like genealogically they've been altered in some way to where they just have like maybe like no immune system or something to where they just die.
Or is it kind of like something with how the Kaminoans in Star Wars did their like cloning? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna rapidly accelerate the age of this clone, and therefore sometime in the future they're gonna molecularly break down at a faster rate than a normal human would.
The world may never know.
Well, I'm sure we do have an answer for it.
That's bad. I have an answer, and we're both kind of half right. Due to the cloning process, when they uploaded the memory replication, like type of behavior, whatever that process was, when they did memory replication, an 82% rate of dementia, schizophrenia, and cancers. The Flash clones' deaths were explained away as pre-existing genetic disorders, drawing suspicion away from the Office of Naval Intelligence. Contrary, though, to a Halsey log, Halsey expected them to die far sooner and was disappointed that they lasted as long as they did.
Ruh.
That's a little rough on that one.
Halsey's not a great person.
Well, yeah.
Halsey's something else. She is definitely something else.
Yeah, the more you know. I don't know where, like, it doesn't, this is from the Halopedia, so take that as you will. But it doesn't say, it says it's in the canon section, but it doesn't say, like, oh, this is referenced in, like, this game or this book or anything like that. There's a bunch of non-canon stuff talking about it.
So it could just be headcanon stuff.
I mean, it just is listed in the canon thing, and that's it. So I'm assuming it just says it somewhere.
Probably in one of the various data points that you can collect throughout the Master Chief Collection.
Hey, those actually add like to the story. In Halo 2, there are a couple terminals like talking about why the heretic you fight on like the first levels of when you play as the Arbiter, like why he defected from the Covenant. And his point is actually like kind of valid now. He didn't want to drive his species to annihilation, as I'm sure most people don't want to do, but a group of a species that are inherently lying to you to hold power.
The Brutes didn't learn from that.
No, and they got their homeworld glass.
Correct.
And now there's like maybe like a couple hundred females left.
Yeah, they brought on themselves.
But that one male's gonna have a great night, let me tell you that.
Or it'll be a Mass Effect crossover, like in Mass Effect 2, when Shepard gets a breeding request after helping Grunt do his rite of passage. And it's like, oh, many Krogan females have submitted requests to see you, Shepard. What for? I believe it's for procreation. Maybe, though, this is gonna be stupid. But Master Chief gets some for himself. And he'll be
Hey.
like, I don't know what that means because I am literally not a normal human.
Hey, John gets plenty of action. Did you not see the Halo show episode 1 or whatever? Where they show his butt cheeks?
I haven't even watched any of it. I saw a clip. I saw clips here and there, and I'm just like, dude. I've heard season 2's gotten better. Pending that whole thing with Halsey. I don't know if it's true or not, but like I've heard that season 2 is starting to get a lot better than season 1. That's for sure.
Personally, I didn't finish season 1. I got to episode 3. I finished episode 3, and I said, I can't keep going with this. There were cool things in it. Like, they definitely tried, like, the opening scene, I think it's the opening, if not, it's very early in the first episode, but where, Master Chief drops in, and he's just in a big fight sequence. For the most part, the fight sequence is cool. They replicate like the first person point of view with the HUD and everything. The effects for it though are just very subpar. They definitely needed a bigger budget or more time on that. But clearly there was at least an attempt at certain points to try to do stuff from the game, which I know they didn't want to do because the writers prided themselves on, their quote was saying that like, I'm not going to quote them directly, but paraphrasing here, they said, we're proud that we've never read a Halo book or played the Halo games.
Yikes. It's always a good start when you're adapting a beloved game series.
And like, unlike the woman who's behind the new Star Wars show Acolyte that's set to come out soon, who said that she had never seen Star Wars before, but when she was offered the job, binged the entire series. That to me is completely different. Because like, that woman is just a person who has writing flavors and, interests and whatnot that aren't completely bogged down by this deep passion for something. It's a fairly objective look at it. Even if she has come to like it, she hasn't gone through life having been shaped by it like your Filoni or your Favreau. So we might end up with something very unique. The Halo show did not do that.
Yeah, kind of going off of the video game show, how are we feeling about the upcoming Fallout show that's coming out? Because personally, I saw that first trailer and I was pretty interested right off the get-go. I was like, this looks interesting. They got a very cool Brotherhood of Steel member wearing power armor.
Yes.
Then they got, what's his name? He plays the Ghoul.
Walter Goggin or whatever.
Walter Goggin, such a great actor, and I like that interaction at the beginning. I'm hoping we get a little more backstory to the Ghoul name, because that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting choice for a Ghoul's name.
Yeah.
Unless he's kind of like some kind of vigilante that's like just goes by the Ghoul. He's kind of like Batman, and I don't know, something like that. I'm hoping that show shapes up to be very good.
Yeah, it's got a really good cast. The main girl for the show, which I don't know what her character name is or the actress's name, unfortunately, so I'm sorry about that. But I was looking at her for the longest time in the first trailer. I'm like, I've seen this girl before, and I couldn't think of where she was in. I don't think anyone else has probably seen this movie. But the movie based on the Miss Peregrine books, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, she was in that, and I was like, oh, that's where, because like she has a very distinct face, so I was like, I know I've seen you somewhere. But I think she's a good fit. I think she brings like from what we're seeing in the trailer, she does portray like the sheltered vault dweller being cast out into the most polar opposite landscape. And I do hope that the show is built with the idea of future seasons in mind. To me, to just do one season and call it quits is a missed opportunity.
Well, maybe they would do something like this season is about this character from this vault, and then maybe if they decide to end the story there for that character, maybe they could, I don't know, shift their focus to a person that's actually been a Wastelander, and like kind of going off a story there, kind of like maybe like New Vegas, not necessarily just like New Vegas, but maybe if they did something like that, like each season gets a new character that's like maybe in a different spot from in the world or in the old United States or something like that. Maybe investigate some locations that might have been maybe a little too not necessarily too like risky, but maybe other locations that we haven't seen in the games other than desert and swamp.
Yeah, there's a lot out there like to diversify a little bit. But yeah, I think that is a good point about future seasons don't have to be about this main cast. It can just be about, the idea of being in Fallout. And that could be a good way to distinguish it. And instead of just going like, here's this story, then we're going to get a spin-off about like the main Brotherhood of Steel guy from this show. I don't really want that. I'd rather just kind of tell stories that are, I mean, if you have a decent story for each of the companions in this, then sure, but don't do it out of, just habit of like, oh, we already had that character. Let's do a full backstory on that guy.
Right.
Definitely using that to explore, future, like unexplored regions, what I'm getting at. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but to be in areas that, yeah, like you said, aren't just deserts. Yeah, not just the capital and Boston, which cool. I mean, they're different, but also, they're pretty close. And then and then West Virginia, technically.
Right.
It's like, go to Seattle.
I'm just happy that they're doing Power Armor like 4 and 76, not like 3 in New Vegas.
Oh, for sure.
Where it's an actual suit of armor and you feel invincible wearing it.
Until you run out of a fusion core.
Until you run out of a fusion core. Yes, that does prove to be a problem.
You just feel so imposing with it. It's such a good change for 4.
That first time when you go into Concord and you're like, oh yeah, get into the power armor and you pull off the big machine gun and you're like, I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you come face to face with the Deathclaw at like level 3 and you're like, oh, this ain't fun.
Maybe kind of, or hopefully if the show does good and like if they were to do like the multiple like story approach for it, maybe they could investigate something that even the games haven't investigated, and maybe having like maybe a special episode or like special season that could like investigate like perhaps like the remnants of the USSR or the People's Republic of China or even the European Union, like kind of seeing how they are dealing with the fallout from the Great War.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would be interesting because like, yeah, like when you're looking at the Fallout set in America, you get like it's kind of like the culture and kind of like the kind of standard for it because like obviously it's a result of like a dystopian capitalist society crumbling at the end of the century, and like you just all this random stuff like, oh yeah, we had so many Nuka-Cola bottles and stuff, we made a currency out of the bottle caps. Like kind of, I think it'd be kind of cool to investigate how other countries kind of like adapted to the fall of everything.
Yeah, it would be cool. I mean, unfortunately, I think Bethesda has a thing against going out of the U.S. And I don't want to like box them in on that, but like based off the extra, like the expanded material Fallout, the games we've gotten, we hardly have like any reference of the other countries outside of, oh, like there's potentially a nuclear war going on, which we know from being behind the curtain from so many games was Vault-Tec really organizing all of that, just to get people in the vaults.
I thought I saw somewhere like the rest of the world is fine. It was just America that got nuked to high hell.
See, what I saw was that like the major like first world countries like Russia, China, and like Europe were heavily affected, but there's like
Yes, my favorite country, Europe.
other places, yeah, Europe, regions then, I'm sorry, regions of the world, like Europe, America, Asia, like the big countries within those are like first world kind of countries were the most affected, but like after a certain point, like in the southern hemisphere, apparently it's kind of like a lot less affected. So there could be nations out there that are fully functional. They just decide not to go north because of the nuclear fallout and the impacts of that.
I mean, I think it would be cool even if we kind of like altered the lore on that a little bit and said like, oh, everyone just got hit, in general, which I think there's a little bit of a conflicting thing about if it was just America, we were just fed lies to believe that it was like a global, whatever. Because then Vault-Tec was based other places and they were just living out their stuff. Because obviously they want that data from those vaults, and there clearly needs to be some reason for it, because killing the entire world for data doesn't really do anything for them. So in my head, it makes more sense for it to be like they were just giving information to the Russians or the Chinese or whatnot. And they just nuked the rest of the world, which could be cool to maybe explore. Like there's a part in the game where we just come across like whatever bordering nation and it's completely desolate, and then you look across and it's just completely fine on the other side.
Personally, I think with the problem with that theory is like if it was only America being affected by the war, you would think that we would see more like kind of like attempting like invading forces to like try to retrieve this data. I know like I can't remember if it was, I'm pretty sure it was New Vegas. It might have been 3, but you kind of find like those pre-war like Chinese outposts and stuff like for observation and stuff like. And I know in
Right.
4 you find the guy in the submarine and everything, but like it just seems to be. I'm pretty sure he even confirms that the Chinese mainland got hit by a bunch of nukes from that. But yeah, I feel like we would have saw some foreign presence happening in one of the games at least 200 years after, or maybe like it was early on enough to where like right after the war they actually did go there to try to do it or try to do something, and they just said, screw it, it's a wasteland.
Except, I mean, maybe we're just exposing like a larger plot hole here because, yeah, the whole point is that Vault Tech wanted the data. That's why every vault was planned with an experiment in mind. None of them were just like, come on, let's get inside, avoid the nukes falling. You know, it was like, hey, we're going to put you on cryostasis, see how you do with that.
They were gonna put 100 men with one woman and 100 women with one man.
We're going to have a vault full of guys named Gary.
Gary, and whatever hellhole that was with the plant monsters.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Was that 61?
Something like, oh my god.
First time being in there, I was like, hello? Oh, this place is empty. And I walked past some of the flora.
Wait, the one in, I think that's 22, isn't it?
Is it 22? Let me see. Vault 22.
Talking about the one where
Yes.
you have to go rest.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 22.
61. What am I thinking of? Oh, that's the one that they referenced that was never fully operational. It's in Detroit. I think that's the one where they ran to the door and then it wouldn't open, so they all got blown up.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like, let us in. They're like, door stuck. Sorry.
Please, I beg you.
If we think of Detroit now and we compare it to when it was or during the Fallout era, do you just think that Detroit is just fully flattened and there's just no sign of life at all and it's just completely gone and there's just nothing left of society? Or is it still just perfectly untouched and it just still looks like the same old Detroit?
See, the nukes hit it and it actually improved it. They're actually a thriving utopia now.
They're like kind of like Megaton, but a lot more effective.
They're like a mix of Megaton and the Children of Adam in Fallout 4. They're like all hail the bomb.
Speaking of Megaton, you guys blow it up or you guys save it? Disarm the bomb.
See, I only got far enough to. I think I did try to disarm it, but then I think it blew up. So like, I know I tried to save it, but I had never really played Fallout 3 extensively enough to see the consequences of either.
There's hardly any. There's a bobblehead you can't get if you blow it up before you pick it up, but that's about it.
There is a group of people that do get upset if you do not blow it up over at that hotel that I'm forgetting about. They're like, go blow it up.
Yeah, the guy who wants you to do it, the guy in the hat.
Yeah, he's like, it's such a shame that you did not blow it up. You could have watched stars from here.
My favorite thing about that is if you tell him you're going to blow it up and then you disarm it, he will then try to approach you and tell you, like, lock you into the very stereotypical like Bethesda dialogue where your head locks. You have to lock direct eye contact with him without blinking, and you're just awkwardly staring at each other. But if you can run away from him before he can start that dialogue, he will follow you throughout the entire game.
It's quite literally, if any of you have, I know we have played, but any of our listeners have played Dead by Daylight, it's just like Michael Myers stalking you and just chasing you around. It's like looking at you like, come here, I need to talk to you about your car's extended warranty.
It's running away from the mailman in Skyrim.
Or the Dark Brotherhood. We know. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
If I see anyone approaching me, I just run. I run as far as I can to see how far they'll chase me. Half the time they end up dying to a troll or a saber cat, but that's besides the point.
Me in Skyrim Special Edition every single time getting accosted by the cultists. Like, false god, false god. It's like, I don't even want to talk to you yet. Like, I just got here.
Me encountering the cultists at level 50 with full Daedric armor looking down. Hello.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Yeah, I always fought those guys at low level, but luckily I was always in Whiterun or Riverwood when I would fight them.
Mhm.
So I'd always have at least the guards to help me.
Yeah, except I always fight them in Riverwood, which you reference, but like there's like one guard there. There's like one rent-a-cop.
And then you accidentally hit a chicken, and then the whole town starts beating you in the streets.
Guards, get him!
Let me just pay for the chicken, please.
Halt! You violated the law.
Me when Dragonborn first come out, thinking I had to spend 750 gold to get across every time, and then like after I did that trip, or it probably wasn't 750. It was some ridiculous amount of gold. And then one of my friends was like, you could just fast travel there, right? There's a arrow in the top right. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I go back home. I rush home after school, and I look on the map, and I'm like, I'm going to literally just die right now.
Jarett literally dove out of a window at school and ran home in the middle of the day.
Yes, and that's how I had a full body cast while playing Skyrim.
Oh man, it would have been awesome to be stuck in a full body cast around the time of like prime Skyrim. Because you wouldn't even notice. You're just gonna be laying there anyway. Like, sure, I'll solve this. I'll go deal with the beacon. Like, yeah.
A new hand touches the beacon.
Most obnoxious thing.
And then you proceed to do it. If you do it sub level 20 or around level 20, you just get absolutely destroyed by that boss fight in the bottom of that temple. Oh my god.
That's why I only made the mistake once of touching it early. After that, I was like, every time I saw it in a box or whatever, I just walked away. Like, I'm just, nope.
If I always see it in a chest, I always have my companion go loot the chest.
Does it actively go to different chests if you don't pick it up from that chest? I've never tried that before.
So I want to say in one playthrough, I've seen it in more than one spot, but I could be confusing the 90 or so Skyrim playthroughs that have happened for me. So
I wish you could have a Elder Scrolls version of caution tape, and you could just put it over that chest and be like, beacon inside. Don't touch. Don't loot all.
crazy bitch left a rock in here. Don't touch it.
Like the messages you can write in like Souls game. Crazy orb. Don't do stupid side quests.
If only we could get a true multiplayer Skyrim where we could have messages like that left everywhere.
Elder Scrolls Online.
The next re-release of Skyrim will probably have more mod support for a multiplayer. Because they still can't produce Elder Scrolls 6.
I don't know why they're so adamant about not letting that mod come to console. Like, it's on the Creation Club for PC stuff, but it's not allowed on console. At least that was the last time I saw it. It was on there, but it wasn't for us. And they're like, no, you guys just aren't allowed. It's not even like, oh, we couldn't get it to work when we were internally testing it before we published it. No, they just said, we don't want you guys doing that. It compromises the experience.
The PC players just trying to uphold the gaming cast system. You console peasants.
Did you know that my machine that I spent 4 times as much as yours on is better than yours? It's like, gee, this Lamborghini is probably a better car than my sedan. You're right. You prove me.
Well, I've done all I can do.
I don't know what you want. Like, we're already like pushing towards like PC level anyway, because we're seeing. I mean, recently we saw Xbox had the best performance for any platform with Dragon's Dogma 2, because apparently PlayStation had a bunch of like ray tracing bugs and whatnot, and then PC just didn't run. So that was kind of the hierarchy of that. It's like PlayStation, oh, you might have a couple visual issues. Xbox runs fine. It's still not optimized, but it works. And then PC just would crash in character creation multiple times.
It's just crazy to me. Like, how in the hell can it not run native PC? Like, that's crazy.
Because yeah, if you don't optimize your games, it doesn't matter how much power you're throwing at it. If there's a memory leak somewhere, it's going to build up and crash.
Hey, I guess our silver lining for the PC debate is that we know for a fact that when GTA 6 launches, that PC players will be fisting the air because they won't be able to play it for like 6 months.
Yeah, which they're like, a bunch of people online were like, what do you mean it's only coming to PS5 and Xbox One? And it's like, because every Rockstar game is either console exclusive or came to PC like a year or two later. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is bullshit. It's like, oh, buy an Xbox then. Buy a PlayStation then. Like, you spent $2,000 on a PC that you used to play Minecraft. I think you can afford a $500 piece of plastic. We got any headlines we want to throw out while we kind of wind this down?
The only one I wanted to kind of bring to light is that we saw a promising update in the Knights of the Old Republic remake. And since that game's been in limbo for God knows how long now, I want to see some progress with it.
What did they say about it? Did they say, like, confirm it's back in production? or they've started getting the ball rolling again?
It's still under development, done by Saber Interactive, according to CEO Matthew Karch. I might have butchered his last name, and if so, I apologize.
I don't. It's Karch. I don't care if it's not.
Or my, I guess my headline for April, or it was kind of like an April Fool's thing, but I was so excited. Yeah, yesterday or the other day, Monday, I think it was. Yeah, Monday. I wake up and I go on X, and there I look and I see a tweet from Santa Monica, and I didn't realize it was April Fool's. And then I see, oh, this year we are announcing our remaster of the original God of War game. And I was so hyped, and then I just realized, and then I looked up in the top right of my screen, and there was the date, and I'm like, I swear to God, they do this every year, and I fall for it every time, and it feels like I'm getting kicked in the nuts every year.
It's like Sid from Ice Age. It was like, they left me. They do this every year.
Yes, exactly.
No, sorry, Jarett, that can't happen. They can't remaster that. I forget the team behind KOTOR. They can't get that remake out. We live in a perpetual state of not getting what we want.
Yes.
Yeah. Going off that, all he said is that it's alive and well.
Yeah.
Which I have one problem with that whole situation, because yeah, I saw that headline too, and I was glad you brought it up right before we click record. My only issue with it is this. With all that time where the internet spread that it was canceled, it's canned, it's done, and let all these major news outlets, I don't say major gaming news outlets, like your IGNs and GameSpot, whatever, Games Radar, Otaku, and all them report that it's been canceled. So everyone just kind of assumed it wasn't happening, and they kind of just stopped giving you attention. But like, why wouldn't you come out and be like, "Oh yeah, no, it is still in production"? Like, what was stopping you from even just tweeting one time, "That's not true. We are still working"? Like, because or if we're so far out from production that you're worried that it might not go into post production, get like towards the finish line, then why did you announce it in the first place? That's a double-edged sword on that one. Why didn't you confirm that it's still real? Or if it's so bare bones that all you constructed was that little teaser with Revan sticking out in the fog where he, ignites his saber, and I was like, oh my god, KOTOR coming back. And that trailer came out, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I think so.
Cool. So if it's still alive and well, can we get another trailer then? Like, can you say anything?
And like this point, I just take any kind of remaster, remake of the game with a grain of salt. Because obviously we saw with the re-release of the classic Battlefront games, it was just dog shit. Like, I cannot believe, oh yeah, we're remaking it, and it's going to have actual servers, but actually the servers are dog shit.
Hey, that can hold 200 people at once. What do you mean? That's plenty of people.
No dedicated servers. You can't play with your friends individually. Haha.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't expect more than 200 people to be playing on a dedicated server. It's like, okay, well, that's a very popular game. I'll tell you right now, there's probably more than 200 people currently, right as I'm saying, that's playing Pong. I would definitely expect more than 200 people to play your game, considering their pre-orders must have been thousands. I would have to imagine. There has to have been, globally, at least a couple thousand people who pre-ordered. And that's being very conservative.
I don't know what goes through these companies' heads. I don't.
It's not our place to know. I'm trying to look and see, I was looking to see if I could pull any headlines, but it looks like for the most part, we've pretty much covered. It's been kind of a slower week for news. I don't think anything got announced either.
No. I'm sure as soon as we stop clicking record, there's going to be a major headline coming out.
Oh, for sure.
Like EA shutting down.
Can you imagine?
Not that would happen.
I wish.
But it'd be kind of funny.
EA I think they just need to be put down, and then they need to be like a phoenix and rise from the ashes with a new company at this point.
Yeah, that's a whole can of worms that we can open up on a later episode. But I think for this week, this is where we're going to wrap it up. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Harmon, joined alongside my other host,
Andrew.
And for this special episode, we had our guest,
Jarett Woodall,
come on and give his take on some video game series and shows that are coming out in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Anyways, as always, be sure to give us a follow. We'll see you next week.
See ya.